Hi, welcome back to Automatic Mouth. This is episode 2 in my 10-part series on Gambate. And as I said last episode, do yourself a favor, go out and pick up the book. I've actually just ordered myself, they had to re-release and do a new print of them. So I've ordered a new copy. When I get it, I'll show it to you and you can check it out. Anyway, we're moving on to episode 2 and I'm talking about Kaizen today. Kaizen, roughly, I guess, translates to good change. Over time, though, it's been developed as meaning continuous improvement. And that's what we're going to talk about today. It sort of first, I guess, most notably came to attention through business. It was developed in business and it's actually a big part, probably the most well-known use of it that I'm aware of anyway, is called the Toyota Way. And it was because of just after World War II, the Toyota company used it to increase production of their vehicles. Now, there's a lot of information out there about Kaizen from a business perspective. However, I wanted to talk to you today about how to use it to implement changes in your personal life or even your business life, all areas, I suppose, how to actually apply it to yourself personally in a day-to-day basis. So that's what we're going to look at today. When we think about change, making a change, wanting to do something different, we tend to think really big and have these really big ideas of what we want to do. I mean, think of New Year's resolutions and when we want to make a change to our diet, to our fitness. We tend to go big when we are imagining or dreaming up those changes. And unfortunately, whilst those changes we think of, whilst they would make a huge impact, undoubtedly, they most often fail. And that comes down to the overwhelm that we can put our own selves into by thinking so big and the lack of planning. Now, what I mean by lack of planning, hence the overwhelm, is that we have a big idea of what we want to do. We don't have the how because we're not using Kaizen. We are simply having this is the change I want to make. And you can pick it up in language. Think of when you want to make a change. I want to be slimmer. I want to lose weight. I want to be more fit. None of those have any measurable qualities in the language, do they? So what is more fit? What is less weight? Less weight can be, 0.5 of a kilo. Okay, great. You've finished your weight loss program. Do you see what I mean? It's not measurable when we use language like that. So then we don't have a plan in place. We don't have a strategy with which to achieve the outcome that we want. So nothing wrong with the outcome, nothing wrong in making a resolution or deciding on what you want to achieve, whether it's, health or business or relationships, personal development. Dream big, absolutely. However, then I challenge you to use Kaizen to break it down into those small steps of continuous improvement that's going to get you to that outcome. So going back to when it was developed for business, okay, there were 5 principles, well, there still are 5 principles in the business strategy, I guess, of Kaizen. Those 5 principles are, I'm reading these off the notes, so apologies if I keep looking down. Know your customer, let it flow, go to Gemba, empower people, and be transparent. So I've had to think about this, and let's break it down now into how you can apply those 5 steps in your personal life to achieve an outcome that you want to achieve. And now you would use this process in every change that you want to make. Okay? So you have to sort of pick something and then apply Kaizen to it. Pick something else, apply Kaizen to it. So let's have a look at number 1, know your customer. I see that as your customer is you. Know what you want. Get clarity on your outcome. Be specific. Yep. If you want to lessen the stress that's in your life, well, let's get specific. Where's the stress coming from? What's causing the stress? How will you know that you have less stress? And start really getting clear on the actual thing you're wanting. What are you looking for? So that's number 1. Know yourself. Know your outcome. Be specific about what you want. Number 2 was let it flow in business. I put this for us as eliminating the things that do not add value to the process that you're going to get in the outcome that you want. How do you make it easy for yourself? So let's do a quick example, an easy one that most of us can probably relate to. If you are wanting to have better meals in the evening, you want a better quality of meal because maybe, time poor, you get a lot of takeaway. What can you do to make it easier for you? What can you eliminate so that you are not eating as much junk food? Think about that. You can not buy any when you go to the store, can't you? There's things like that. There is meal prepping. These are all sort of those basic, everyone knows these kinds of things. I'm using them as an example, though, to show you how to think about step 2. Whatever outcome you're wanting, you're really clear on it now because you've done step 1. What can you do in your current environment? What can you get rid of? What can you eliminate that's going to make it easier for you to take those small steps towards that outcome? Work with yourself instead of against. Number 3 is go to Gemba. This is a really cool concept. I really enjoyed learning about this. Gemba is also known as Gembutsu in Japanese, and it actually means the real place or the actual place. So in business, what it meant was that if you're wanting to improve production in that business, go to where it's actually done. Where are they building the things? So for Toyota, it was to go to the actual production line and see what's happening, talk to the people, really find out what's working, what's not working, what does it look like? So you can see how this could relate to you personally. So number 3 for us is about your values. What's the purpose of the dream that you're wanting to achieve, the outcome that you're wanting? What's the purpose of it? What's your reason for doing it? What have you denied within yourself, which meant that you haven't been able to achieve it before? What's it going to add to you? What is it going to satisfy within you? So number 3 in your values is about really digging deep into the reasons behind doing what you do. So when you know the reason, the why that you do something, whether you're getting a good outcome or a poor outcome, if you know the reason behind it, then you have the power to change it, should you want to. So we have to get to know ourselves and not bullshit around either. Be real. What are you wanting to satisfy by doing the thing? Okay. Number 4 in business is empower people. So I'm going to let that sit because I love the idea of empowering other people. However, what I'd like to tweak in that for us is understanding that empowering people only really happens when you empower yourself. You create the ripple effect by focusing on you. Whether we like it or not, you are always a role model, always. And you get to choose, though, what sort of role model you want to be to the people that are in your circle. Because we're being watched all the time. You just think about yourself when you're walking around. We are constantly looking at other people. It's human nature. So we're always modeling in some respect our life. So the best way that you can empower another person is by showing what's possible within yourself. When you make the changes within yourself, when you stick to what you want to stick to, when you say, no, screw that, this is me, this is what I'm doing, you're actually giving other people a bit of courage, maybe. That's what they need. The courage to say, well, shit, I could do that. You know what? I'm going to do it too. And that ripple effect happens because it's not easy to go out on your own and make a change. We've got lots of old programming that tells us we're selfish if we think of ourselves, or that we're full of ourselves if we think that we look good. There's so much negativity around our self-image and looking after ourselves. And yet when we become unwell, we also then get blamed that you didn't look after yourself. So if you can't win either way, then change the rules of the game. And focus on yourself. And what does that be the change? Wow, I'm a slogan. I'll just steal that slogan. Change yourself. Be that role model. You don't have to tell anyone else, teach anyone else, show anyone else. You simply have to be yourself and be committed to yourself. And by focusing on you, that is how you empower others. And then step 5, the last one, in business, it was be transparent. So again, I'm going to keep that one as it is for us personally and talk about using that step 5 of transparency as a reflection, as you're taking your small steps of continuous improvement, doing these small little things every day, just building up that consistency to change. Well, what's working? What's not working? What could you do differently? Start really doing that stock take, I guess, checking in with yourself. How are you coping? Do you need some help? What are your resources? Do a bit of a resource check-in. Who have I got in my circle who could help me? What help do I need? What resources do I already have that I'm not utilizing? When we do a resource stock take, that's when we actually find out how much we have at our disposal. We're simply not utilizing it because we have this idea of this big thing at the end. And so sometimes we look at the resources and we think, oh, that can't possibly help. That's too small. Once we break it down using Kaizen, we can see the small resources can help us with small steps. And as they keep going, small steps, small steps, small step, then we achieve the big outcome. From a money perspective, I think that's kind of an easy way to see it visually as well. You might have this dream of buying a car and you want to pay for it in cash, and you've got to save dollars to buy this car. And so you've paid all your bills and done all your bits and pieces, and you've kind of got $5 left. If all we were focusing on is 30,000, that $5 just seems like, oh, well, I may as well just go and, buy a coffee, because that $5 isn't going to get me anywhere. You can see how it's deflating, and it actually then creates a behavior that goes against your end result. Hence the overwhelm, hence the failure in changing or completing that outcome, because we're overwhelmed and we haven't got any planning, or we haven't appreciated the small steps required. Yet that $5, every time you had $5 left over from something, you saved it, as well as I do that eventually that's going to add up, isn't it, to big money. However, it takes the small steps and that small commitment and consistency in order to get to that end result. So that's just my thoughts on Kaizen and how we can apply it in our everyday life. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, what you think about it, and I do hope that you will join me next week, next Friday. I'll drop the next episode. It's going to be on embracing failure. What fun. All right, I look forward to seeing you guys then. Please remember to always like and subscribe if you can. It helps me out a great deal. I look forward to it. Take care. Bye-bye.